Hi there. I just thought I would do another video, and I think this one will be more about, you know, spiritual awakening. And this is something that happened to me just under 10 years ago. I was 24 when I started going through it, and I'm 33 on my birthday, which is October 22nd. And I chose this picture because it's symbolic of what you go through once you start going through that process. Because you'll notice in this picture there's like different interactions, like there's another arm, but it's not that you've got 4 arms. This is symbolic of the fact that you're interacting with parallel lines, parallel realities that intermingle with this reality, and you're becoming aware of it because the third eye is opened, and so that's what's happening. And like the other realities, what you're tapping into is the version of yourself. It's like we have a heaven self, and we have the self in this experience. And like in this picture, imagine the 2 hands that are close together, and then the ones that are touching the DNA is like the higher self, and it's aligning, you see. It's making an alignment where the 2 selves are coming together and creating almost like a new entity, co-creator being on planet Earth. And this picture, it's really symbolic of that, so obviously I was, I wanted to do this and meant to do it, but yeah, and that's really what I've been going through for nearly 10 years now. It was I went through an unexpected awakening, unexpected spiritual awakening, and it's still going on today. But I've just aligned with it, you see, and you align more and more as you go through it. But anyone can do it. It's like I've been saying to people lately that meditation is perceived as like a separate thing, and some people struggle with it. It's actually our natural state. It's the state. The reason I awakened spiritually is because I decided one day to be present and to pay attention to this presence. And that is in presence, that's where you become transcendental in presence. So in essence, all meditation is transcendental. That's what meditation is, it's transcendental. And so, yeah, that's what you're becoming, an awakening. But because it's the only thing is you've just decided to be present. But most people will not be present because you don't wake up spiritually until you've really had enough, until you've had it. And then in that, when you really within you've had enough, really, because your soul only listens to you when you mean it. Because the soul is your soul, the soul part of you is pure authenticity. And then once you really mean it to be present, then that power, that authentic power, starts coming through. It's like the heaven self is authentic, right? It's meaningful, it's heart-based, it's love. And yeah, this is what happened to me, and I've seen I was watching. I watched this doctor on YouTube. I watched a good few doctors, and one of them I was watching today was saying that basically all different people are waking up from all different countries. When I started going through this awakening, I didn't know what I was going through, and so I started looking it up. Started looking at different spiritual people on YouTube. This is years ago, before a lot of censoring was in place. And I found out what I was going through. I found out that it was called a spiritual awakening, and yeah. But yeah, it happens when you decide to be present. And what will happen to you more and more when you decide to be when you start going through that awakening process is you become. It's like this feel. You get to this state where there's no thoughts, and that's when you're tapping in more. When you're doing that, you're tapping into your life force, and more. And the life force is just pure ecstasy, because it's a limitless love, and this love power is what governs all life. You see, and I've learned so much through this awakening, and also you're becoming abundant. That's what you're becoming in awakening as well. Because it's just a case of being present. That's it. That's all you're doing. And then you're just working on what's within. Because that's where the power is, you see. There was a woman today on Instagram who said that she wants someone to inspire her. Well, that's not the case with me. I didn't used to like myself, but now I am my greatest inspiration. My guide is my soul. And that's what I listen to, what's within. But that's it, what I was saying earlier, yeah, that's what I've become in this path, is very transcendental because of that decision one day to wake up. And in life, we're always looking outward for a solution, and then there comes a point where you let it go. Right? Because everything's a choice, like I say, everything is choices, and you can choose to wake up or you can choose to be asleep. It's just a choice. But many aren't willing, because in that awakening, you've got to be out your comfort zone for a little bit. And that's where you're healing deep parts of yourself. You're not in pain, but you're out your comfort zone. And like I say, anyone can access this, and it's just a case of being present. But most people don't want to do that, because they want to wait on nothing. People like to take refuge in something. Some people take refuge in things their entire lives and never wake up. Some people will drink their entire lives, drink alcohol, have children sometimes. Sometimes they'll breed women, if it's women. Not because they love kids, but because they're unhappy. They could take drugs, and we take drugs, like party drugs, you've got to come down off them. Could be anything to escape presence. And I experienced a little bit of this when I was younger, but I had this awakening at 24, so I was pretty young. But yeah, like I say, it was just a choice to be present. And everything's a choice. Slavery is a choice. Freedom is a choice. It's your own mind, your awareness, that decides if it's in a prison or not. But once you start, like I say, once you start to go through this awakening, once you decide to go within and to be present, you start healing deep parts of yourself that aren't even from this lifetime. And as you're doing this more and more, you're activating your DNA. You're healing and correcting your DNA. And you're aligning more and more, like I said earlier in the video, with the heaven self, which is the perfect you. It's like you've got a perfect version of you, and in spiritual awakening, you're aligning now with that version of yourself, that heaven self. And this is spiritual awakening. This is what we're all going through in this spiritual awakening. That's why the system and government is acting the way they are, because they've suppressed humans for a long time, and this is the moment of truth. And the real system knows what's going on. The real system is what they call the Illuminati. It's a demonic force that feeds off of fear and disorientation and aggression. And because of an awakening happening, these demonic forces can't feed off of fear anymore, and they know that. That's what the Illuminati is at its core, and that's the force that controls governments and they control finance. But they die through love and oneness, you see. And the stuff lately about racism and stuff, this is what the system has always played against us, is divide and rule. It's the only it's done this because people were waking up regarding the COVID situation. And now it's went to its only game that's ever been successful, but it's an illusion. The bodies that we have are just vehicles to experience a life. When you start waking up spiritually, everything, when I started going through this, was becoming a mirror. I remember, you start to look at people like you're looking at your own reflection. And if everybody did this, then everything would become one. Oneness in our perceptions. Love and oneness and togetherness, real togetherness. Not just saying it, but really perceiving it. Looking at the sun like it's you, looking at people, all different races and colours, as it's you. You see, and that's what the education system, schooling is about. It's about indoctrination and getting us away from this oneness perception, divine perception. That's what they do. They take a baby or a young child and brainwash that child. That's what the education system's for. That's why you have to have a spiritual awakening before you wake up, before you're tapping into your divinity. If we were left to be how we naturally are spiritually, then we wouldn't need a spiritual awakening. I wouldn't have to do these talks. And yeah, but and that's I just wanted to do a talk on this. Sometimes, this is the most important thing to talk about, because this is what we're going through. And you can awaken right now, but that's actually how you're here. You're here because you're meant to awaken and ascend the most that you can and be an example. You're not here to just work in a 9-to-5 job. You are here. What's going on the planet right now, you are part of that. And we return to Earth if we haven't done our soul mission. Our soul contract, our soul mission is to help the planet awaken. And we do that by being an example. Everything is within you. I'm just going to leave it there, and to check, latest updates, videos, please do check my website. There I talk about so many different subjects. And my website is www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you.